Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Creator Podcast right here on Jordan Creates TV. And today, I want it to be quite a kind of shorter episode. To be honest, I just want to discuss some ideas and then be done with it. One of those quick podcasts that I want to jump on, say my ideas, and then just finish off the subject for the day. But today, I want to cover and go over and discuss the subject of the sort of dark side of content creation. Okay, the dark side of being a creator and being a video creator, coming up with ideas regularly, putting out content, keeping up with your own schedule, keeping up with ideas, coming up with brand new ideas, and the sort of dark side of that. And the reality of, it's kind of life, really. It's kind of happens in all areas, in all subjects. If you have a job, if you have a business, if you're an athlete doing sport, if you're a competitor, if you're doing anything like that, there's always an upside and a downside to things. So you have to address the reality of the negative aspects of the difficult parts, the problematic side of things, and but to do that is to really to be a mature creator, to have to be able to easily discuss these things and to have overcome these fears, because even in fact talking about them and being able to create and do this a podcast like this is in fact a sign, of maturity, that you have gotten over these types of things and that you are very comfortable with it as a content creator. But as a creator, I would like to help and benefit you, all of you who are content creators listening to this right now. Specifically, probably video creators will really resonate with this massively, and probably perhaps you'll resonate with this a lot. You will probably, if you are a music creator, so you're like a musician, right? Or you are, a writer, or perhaps an artist. So you do paintings or drawings, or for example, if you're writing, especially if you're writing novels, books, or for example, actually, if you're writing in media and you're writing articles or doing journalism, you're creating that new soundtrack for your album, music you're creating, and you're coming up with an idea. The first thing is, so let me jump into this. So for example, as a creator, you set yourself goals. This is the thing, you set yourself some goals, right? And of course you could do this in any subject, but so then you go out. Okay, so that's one thing, that's all well and good. You say, right, I've got an idea for a series, a video series, or this or something, or that, or whatever, an idea for something, and you put it down. You think, great, that's step number one, right? Okay, so I can do it. I now need to do this series, this idea, in the way that I wanted to do it. And then you go ahead with the actual practical steps of creating that video, that idea, or that series, or whatever. And then you actually realize, well, it's not even that. Just sometimes you can have times, and very often, in fact, especially if you're a creator and you enjoy what you do, you're passionate about your love for your subject. Days where it all goes so smoothly and swimmingly, ideas seem to flow out of you like a free-flowing river, stream running down a mountain. Like spring water just coming out the mountain, but so naturally and beautifully, just an elegant flow. It just comes out of you, and then you bang, you're producing 3 amazing videos in one day. You've produced an amazing idea, or you've written an amazing novel, or a very amazing book. You've written like half a book, or loads of chapters of your pages of your book that you're so happy about, just came out of you, like an elegant flow, effortlessly, words on paper. Or that music, that song you were writing, you just hit the right chords and the tunes and the flow, they just flowed in that day, and you managed to create a whole album in one day. These things can happen a lot, and as a creator, as an artist, if you're a person like that, anyone creative, you will know exactly what I mean. Like you will just, something will click inside of you. You'll have a memory of, you will just know immediately what I'm talking about. But on the flip side of that, so have you ever heard of that expression? There's I think there's a phrase actually. Some Einstein uses it or something that you can't have one thing without the other, right? Like, well, the world is it's like a two it's like a coin, two sides of a coin, right? Everything has the opposite to it. Yin and yang. The world has a dark side, and the world has a light side. So with that comes the days where where I don't know, things just don't work out, or you have your mind doesn't flow, you can't come up with ideas, you feel bad or stuff like that. But for me specifically, for example, I've been through this many times where it's not necessarily that I mostly always feel positive, and often I don't really have those types of problems. For me, it is this ongoing, right, reoccurring problem of technical issues. My life, I could swear, is haunted with um, unexplainable, unpredictable, and undeniable like technical issues, right? Unworkable around technical issues that will pop up out of nowhere, out of the thin air, out of the blue, and completely stop you in your tracks, stop that idea you were going to do, stop you from creating whatever it is for like a whole day or 2 days, or it might crash your literally crash your computer, crash your program operating programs, software programs that you are working on, or your music library, or you find out something that's copyrighted that you were working, a sample of music maybe that you wanted to work on, or a video sample, whatever. And it's just, and you get this huge technical thing where maybe you've been working on a project for hours. Oh, I've had this so many times as well, right? You've been working on a project for ages. You've been like editing a huge video project for 2 videos, for example. You've been multitasking. I often multi-work on 2 to 3 videos, sometimes 3 videos at the same time on a project, because if you're really in the workflow, that's a fantastic way to batch make and create videos, and then you release it during the next week to 3 weeks. And in fact, that's a video content strategy, batch creating actually, that I do want to discuss in the future, because this literally have its own podcast session for that, because it's such a great strategy that you guys will benefit from if you want to become a regular content creator or producer of anything. But yeah, so and then these things, they pop up and they jump up like an alligator out of a swamp. Just jumps up out of the blue directly into your face, and proceeds to drag you into the murky waters, of you being stuck. The waters of you being engulfed in the trench. It's like your wellies at a Glastonbury festival. You just get splodged into the mud, and you really can't get out. You kind of, and then the more you try to get out, the more you start sinking in like quicksand. And what I mean by that is someone will block you, and the project is now deemed useless. Suddenly 14 hours of work goes down the drain. Maybe you guys will be able to. Some of you can resonate with this, or perhaps some of you have a similar feeling. For example, when you've remembered ever getting something deleted off of Word. Have you ever had a Word document deleted, or a PowerPoint that got deleted at school after hours of work, or college work that you've been working on for hours, right? You've got to save the computer as you turn it off. You remember on the way home, you're like, oh shit, I actually did a whole day's worth of work, but then I forgot to save it. So I didn't save all of this progress I'd made, and something. It's like you have to start again from scratch, or you have so much work that's been put into something, and the idea isn't quite right, or it's a bit off, or you just can't publish it. And it's and this is different also, right, to being perfect. This is not about that, because sometimes people can have social fears of perfection, right, or even their own barriers against their own inner high standards that they set for themselves, that's blocking them from releasing content and finalizing and finishing songs, videos, or artwork, and then finishing it and sending it out there to the world, because they themselves deem it's not ready yet. It's not perfect. It can't be, and then they never release it. They never show it to anyone, right? And then you have the fear. People have the fears. They on the other side, they have something that's finished, or they have things they've been working on, or many videos or different content or ideas, but they do not publish it because of fears of what other people think, and they're scared about what other people think about them. Now, this is not that. This is none of those two things. For me, this is literally just technical, like physical problems coming up that completely like physically blocks you from walking straight in a straight line, like a wall that's like you're walking along and a wall pops up out of the ground. You literally physically can't walk through the wall. Like, you're blocked. You can't, you can't go around the other way. You just have to stop. And that's a problem because there's nowhere to go. You kind of have to. Anyway, you can always start again. You can always the solution to these things is to go back to the start and kind of rework on the idea that you had, or do the work again, or something like that. But the thing that I'm trying to address in this podcast here, right, is how it's discouraging. These things can be a massive knock. They can knock you back. They can discourage you. But I think the thing I want to really finish within this podcast, because I want to keep it short here. I just wanted to expand that idea, and hopefully you guys could go through the flow with me, and you could realize that we've all been in these kinds of situations. I wanted to finish it off with this positive note, this positive passion of encouragement, which is what which is what lives with me to this day, after being through these types of things many times. And these technical problems, guys, they are outrageously, like, you couldn't make up this story. Like, you couldn't put it on paper. Like, you come up with like loads of ideas, you put them together into one mega super idea, you work on the project, it's amazing, and then something will come up, like the program that you're working on for the project can't do the one specific thing that was needed to glue the whole thing together and make it work, right? So you get stuck, you can't do that, and then in the end you just can't get past that hurdle. You give up, and then it's like, you give up on that idea. You think you'll go back to it the next day or something, you go back to it, and it's just even more tricky, and it becomes a bigger and bigger problem. It's just so annoying, technical problems. So anyway, these things will come up, they will discourage you, but do not fear, my friends. Do not worry. Realize and remember that this is exactly part of the process. What this is a bit like life, right? Creating content, creating your business, working on your passion is a little bit like living life, for example, as an analogy. Like, you're born, you go through things that are amazing, you have great experiences, and then you have things that knock you down, things that make you unhappy in your life, things that you don't want to happen, blocks, barriers, and those things are good. Those things are natural, because remember, we need these things to grow. We need these things to make us stronger and to be able to appreciate the joy of the good times of when things do work out well for us, right? So when we do get an idea right, when we do have that creative flow of passion, and you should use that. Those days, those times when you're feeling like you just can't get any content done, the ideas are just not, these things are not working out. Maybe it's your project right now, maybe you're working on a book, maybe you're trying to write the last pages of the chapter, you just can't figure it out. Maybe, you're working on a song, but you can't find the last songs for the album. Or it's about, remembering that, take a step back, take a deep breath, and you will continue. You will live on, my friend. You are a warrior. We are all warriors, because we wouldn't still be alive here. Survival of the fittest. We wouldn't have made it to this point in the first place. We wouldn't still be working on our passions and trying to create things that are awesome and that are going to benefit the world and give our value and our knowledge away, and our creativity, share it with the world and our passion. So, remember that, and remember that every time that you've experienced these blocks, they will make you stronger. Try and flip that at that exact moment, the way that I do. in a way that keeps me going every day. It keeps me passionate, and it makes me, even in a way, more excited to tackle those problems tomorrow, and tackle those creative problems and then get over it. Because I know, that in a weird way, with a little bit of patience, a bit of positivity, positive attitude towards it, these things, and the strength, the creator's strength and resilience that he has been through many times, to that you when you do get round to working on that, and then you come up with the next solution, the way past it, and the way that you're going to move on in the future, it's often with a better and even more creative and more crazier, more awesome idea. So just remember that you can come up with often, what do they say? Gems can be often hidden in like a like a dark cave. You could go into a dark cave, but then you could find the world's most valuable hidden crystal. Or I think in Buddhism there's this analogy, right, that I heard, that a lotus is born from a swamp. Have you ever seen those? Sometimes there's a flower or pictures of it, those beautiful flowers that they actually sprout above the water, right, of swamps usually, or swamplands, and there's actually a flower growing out, and the leaf grows onto the top of the water, a bit like a lily pad shape, and then on top of the lily pad sprouts the most beautiful pink, colourful lotus. And that's outrageous. There's something like that should not be born in the most murky of situations, but it just goes to show that in the hardest and in the toughest of times can come the most beauty, and you can come the most creative ideas, and can come your most biggest successes. So success, my friends, is always just round the corner. And I hope I leave you with that. That's what you leave you with today. And I hope you have enjoyed this podcast. It's been a kind of little bit of a rambly rant one. Just wanted it to be kind of short. Let's see, 17 minutes. We can never achieve a short podcast on this, it seems. But anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed this creative rant that I have gone on again, as always. And I hope you guys have taken some value from it and can apply that, like, as practical, something once again that's practical you can apply in your own lives in order to progress with your own brand, business, or video content creation. So anyway, my friends, take care, and I hope you have enjoyed, and we shall see you guys soon in the next one. Please go ahead and leave your thoughts in the comments if you have any. And if you have listened to this point, right at the end of the podcast, again, I'm going to do my surprise little secret test for all of you viewers who have stayed to the end. First of all, I'd like to thank you so much, for giving up, for actually, sharing 18 minutes of your time today to listen to this. And I really hope you've managed to get some value from it. So, but yeah, write the key code word. What should we go for? Hot chocolate. Okay, guys, write hot chocolate into the comments section. Hot chocolate in that section, so I know that you've listened this far all the way to the end. With that being it, create some awesome stuff. Keep crushing it, and we shall see you guys soon in the next podcast.